If you're already familiar with how Johnny 5 works, then you know that Johnny 5 does not run directly on the Arduino. Instead, I need to upload a sketch that implements the Fermata protocol so that Johnny 5 can communicate with the Arduino from my host machine. For this, I will open up the Arduino IDE. Then I will select File, Examples, Fermata, and then the standard Fermata Plus sketch. Now I need to make sure I have the correct board and port set, so I will hit up Tools, and then Board, and it looks like my Uno is already selected there. And just below the board, it looks like the correct port is already selected as well, so I should be good to go and can just upload the sketch to my Arduino. But before I upload the sketch, I'll go ahead and pull up my Arduino in a camera window so that you can see what's going on here. Alright, now I'll just hit the upload button and wait for the sketch to compile and load. Okay, it's uploaded, and if you're watching closely, you'll notice a problem here. You can see that the green light is on, as well as a status light on the relay board itself, indicating that the relay triggered in the NO circuit is currently closed. At this point, it should be open though, as I didn't send the relay any commands to trigger the relay. Or did I? If you recall from the slides, I mentioned that I'm running an active low relay, and this is one of those times that I mentioned that will require a little tweak in order for everything to operate properly. If you're running an active high relay, then your relay should not have triggered at this point, and you can essentially just ignore these next steps. What's happening here is that when the Fermata sketch that I just uploaded to the Arduino is initialized, it sets all of the digital pins to output mode, and then writes a low value to each of them, effectively turning them off. Well, since the input pin on my relay is tied to a digital pin, and triggers the switch when a low signal is sent to it, the sketch initialization is essentially telling the relay to go ahead and close the NO circuit right off the bat. Now you may be thinking, oh, well, whenever I wire my relay up to an actual device, then I'll just use the NC circuit instead, and voila, problem solved. Well, not quite. Since the NC circuit is the default circuit, there could be moments, however brief, where the circuit is closed, such as when the Arduino is first being powered on, before the low signal is sent to it by the sketch to close the NO circuit. Depending on where you use this relay, you may have a little more room for error, so that may be an acceptable behavior, such as if you're trying to control a lamp, for example. Maybe it's not a big deal that the light is on for a short time period when you don't want it to be, knowing that the sketch will send a low signal and trigger the relay to turn it off momentarily. But, say you have this relay attached to your garage door opener. When the power goes out and comes back on, and the Arduino reinitializes everything, then the relay will tell your garage door opener to open the door. That can be problematic, especially if you're not home, or if it happens at, say, 2 in the morning while you're sleeping. And yes, unfortunately, I'm speaking from experience. But I digress. Now, in order to get around this problem, we have to modify the sketch just a little bit. If you scroll down to the setup function, or just search for it, you'll see a system reset callback call being made at the tail end, which is where the pin initialization is kicked off, so let's navigate to that function. Now scrolling down just a bit in this function, you can see in the second for loop here that there are a couple of checks to determine if each pin is analog or digital. Since I'm working with digital pin number 12 in this course, I'm interested in the digital block. You can see here that the pin mode is set to output, and based on the comment, the value is set to 0, or low. Now you can approach this tweak a number of different ways, such as setting your pin to input mode instead, or defaulting the value of all digital pins to high. I actually want to stay fairly consistent with how this sketch was originally written, so I'm just going to modify the set pin mode callback function to only set pin number 12 to high and leave the other pins alone. And then inside this function, I'll just scroll down until I find the output case. So just inside the if block, I'll create a new int variable called pin value and default it to low. And then I'll add a check here to say if pin is equal to 12, set the pin value to high. And then down here in the digital write function call, I'll just replace the low value with pin value. Perfect. Now obviously if you keep this sketch on your Arduino and wire up other components to this pin in the future, you could run into unintended behavior, so just remember to reload the original Fermata sketch if you're going to use this pin for other things later on. Alright, that should be all I need to change, so I can just recompile my sketch here and upload this new version to the Arduino. And now you can see here that the green light did not turn on this time. Perfect. Alright, let's move on now to see how to write a simple application to control this relay using Johnny 5.